Your live interactive Weather Authority coverage will begin shortly. Your live Weather Authority coverage starts right now.
Well, good evening, everyone. We have some rain and wind in the forecast. Everything seems to be pretty much on track for the potential for some power outages about 24 hours from now. Let's highlight 3 p.m. to about 9 p.m. I think it's in that window on Wednesday that we'll have some power outages across the region. Well before that, though, in the next few hours, in fact, there is the potential for a little bit of freezing drizzle. We'll be watching that as well, mainly over the interior. A winter weather advisory has been issued overnight, 1 a.m. to about 7 a.m. over inland parts of Maine and New Hampshire. So we have a lot to talk about tonight. Thanks for joining us on Facebook Live, on YouTube, on Twitter, all sorts of different platforms out here today. Let's take a look first at what we have with our temperature setup here. We are already running in the low 30s for a lot of towns here. So temperatures will actually be dipping into the upper 20s over the interior. Temps have actually climbed a few degrees at the coastline. The wind is onshore here, so many areas, at least over southern coastal areas, will probably start with a little bit of drizzle overnight and into tomorrow. This will not be a big precipitation event overnight and through midday tomorrow. It's almost like two little systems here. The onshore wind is producing a little bit of ocean effect, if you will, drizzle overnight. So we'll have to see how much of that materializes. The main event is still expected to be late in the day Wednesday, and that will be for heavy rain and strong winds here. So notice over across mid-coast Maine, though, you're in the 20s already. We'll be watching for any drizzle that forms here because the potential is there for a little bit of freezing drizzle overnight. Here's the storm system off to our west here. It's the main event is actually producing some severe weather down in the deep south. It's actually a glorified front. We're going to tap into some of that moisture that's surging north out of the deep south. It's actually a lot of tornado warnings out there right now through portions of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. We're not expecting anything like that in our region. Instead, we're just expecting strong winds and heavy rainfall late tomorrow. Well before that, though, again, this is that area we're highlighting. This is inland areas, 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. There's the potential for a little bit of slippery travel over the interior due to some freezing drizzle. Let's see how much of that materializes. I was just looking at a close-up of the radar. There's a little bit trying to form out in the Gulf of Maine as we speak. Let's take a look at Storm Tracker. This takes us into the overnight hours. That's 1 o'clock in the morning. The reason I want to highlight this for you here, we have the potential for some of that freezing drizzle inland. Notice that pink and blue color right there. That's a light wintry mix. And to be more specific, it's probably freezing drizzle. At the coastline, though, we're above freezing. In fact, we're already above freezing in Portland. We'll probably stay there overnight. So 1 a.m., want to keep an eye on the area circled right here from Sebago Lake to Lewiston to Augusta. Northern parts of York County as well included in that. There probably will be at least some slippery travel if you're on the roads very early in the day. Again, we're talking about 1 a.m. to about 7 a.m. I think after 8 o'clock in the morning, even after 7 o'clock in the morning over interior parts of Maine and New Hampshire, we're probably going to see some improvement. In fact, those of you that are out and about during the late morning, midday hours, it's probably okay. There'll probably just be cloudy skies, maybe a hint of drizzle here and there, but temperatures should be above freezing. I threw the arrows on there for the wind to show you our wind direction here. Winds will not be extreme midday tomorrow. We're highlighting our strongest winds 3 p.m. to about 9 p.m. And to be more specific, it's probably more like 6 o'clock to about 7 o'clock, and that will be during the evening hours on your Wednesday. So let's highlight the main event. This will be the meat and the potatoes of our storm here. We're seeing the storm sort of bringing some strong south to southeasterly winds just ahead of a cold front. That cold front is right in here. See that band of heavy rainfall making its way through New Hampshire and back to the western mountains of Maine? That one right there. That one will probably produce our most extreme rainfall amounts, and also it will probably produce our strongest winds as well. Check out the temperatures. How about that? Low 50s. It's funny because I was talking to Greg about this yesterday. We have low 50s on the map for tomorrow and low 50s on the map for Saturday, but we're not going to enjoy it just simply because we have heavy rain and wind to talk about in both situations. However, this will be the more extreme tomorrow. So this is probably the worst of our glorified front here. Just ahead of the front, the winds will be out of the south. We'll get gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour, frequent gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour, and our peak wind gusts will probably get over 50 miles per hour. That's strong enough for some power outages. I plan on some outages throughout southern and central Maine. Can't be hurt to maybe charge up the cell phone overnight or even midday tomorrow. I don't anticipate any strong winds until late in the day. This is 1:30 in the afternoon on Thursday. Notice improvement. The front moves through. The wind shifts over to the west, but it's going to be windy on Thursday as well. I think we're going to get gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour on Thursday. It's not quite as extreme, but it's going to be windy. And I think we'll get some snow showers as well. So cooler air moves in, and the mountains most likely will get snow showers. We'll call it likely there. And some of those, kind of like last week, some of that's going to work its way perhaps all the way down to the coastline. Don't be shocked if you see a few flakes flying here and there in that strong westerly wind on Thursday. All right, back to the item of concern here. The main event is going to be this wind setup here. The Weather Service has issued a high wind watch for Wednesday afternoon through Wednesday night. That's for mid-coast Maine, parts of central Maine, and down east Maine. Now, this will be converted to either an advisory or high wind warning. I think we're going to see most of the area under a wind advisory by this time tomorrow. By tomorrow morning, we should have a wind advisory out. The big question is, will there be a high wind warning issued? It's possible. I think our strongest winds, maybe 50 to 60 miles per hour. It's possible here in that area highlighted in the watch. So we're going to watch that pretty closely here. Let's go through time here and we'll outline how this is going to go down. Wind Tracker kind of has a good handle on this. That, by the way, that red icon you see right there, that weather warn day thing, that's kind of our company's way of saying, yep, that's our heads up that we have some potential for some power outages. So when you see the weather warn icon, you say, okay, something's going to happen here. Looks like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we're starting to ramp up that wind. So again, we're highlighting 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., but the most extreme gusts will probably be around 6 to 7 p.m. That's my guess. Here we are at 6 o'clock in the evening, 6 or 6:30 or so. Our most extreme gusts will be just ahead of this front, and they'll be out of the south and southeast here. It's not a great wind direction for us. We hate south-southeast winds. We had that in the big October storm a few years ago. Much different setup, though. That was a closed low. That was off to our south. This is basically a glorified front that's moving through. But notice behind the front, the wind shifts over the west. We will notice improvement tomorrow night, probably by this time tomorrow night. By 8 o'clock, I think we'll start to see improvement. Behind the front, the wind shifts over to the west, and it's still going to be gusty, but it's not going to be gusting over 50 miles per hour after 9 p.m. Well, let's see if this materializes. Again, this is just some forecast model, so take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, it's possible. 50, 60 mile per hour winds, not going to rule that out, especially over near mid-coast and down east Maine. It looks like the front continues to make its trek out into the ocean. We'll see improvement heading into our Wednesday night and heading into Thursday. So tomorrow, rain and wind, and let's be specific on this, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., that's going to be our heaviest rain and strongest winds. And to be more specific, it's probably about 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening for our strongest wind and our heaviest band of rain. That's our weather warn icon for some strong winds, power outages. I would plan on some outages. I think we're going to get some tomorrow, late in the day. Now, Thursday will feature the chance for a snow shower or a squall. It's possible there with temps upper 30s to near 40. Friday's okay. Our next storm on Saturday brings rain, light rain. That's the way it looks. And it's going to be windy that day as well. Not nearly as extreme as tomorrow's system, though. Sunday, Monday look a little bit better. And we're probably dealing with more rain, maybe a little mountain mix going into Tuesday of next week. If you're just joining us on the Facebook Live, the Twitter, the YouTube, all sorts of different platforms here for stuff, thanks for joining us. And I want to quickly outline the setup once again. Just ahead of this front, this is going to be our strongest wind. And the time frame for that is going to be about 3 p.m. to about 9 p.m. We'll get some gusts at times 30 to 40 miles per hour, 40 to 50 miles per hour, a peak wind gust over 50 miles per hour. The wind will improve or die off a little bit after that front moves through around 8 o'clock or so tomorrow night. We're probably going to get about a half an inch to an inch and a quarter of rainfall, half an inch to an inch and a quarter of rain. It stays windy on Thursday as well. All right, let's talk about some of the questions here. Hopefully I've answered everybody's questions. Are we going to have some ice in Sanford? Cecile says. Let's go back to this for a moment here. I want to show you the potential for icing overnight. This is the time lapse. I want to show you the time lapse first. Look at the contrails. There they are right there in the increasing clouds. Thought that was kind of cool right there as well. Inland areas, it's possible you might get a brief period of freezing drizzle in Sanford. I think it's more likely, Cecile, from northern York County up into Sebago Lake, Lewiston, Auburn, Augusta. The time frame is 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. After that, we'll probably be in pretty good shape. Temps are already below freezing in that area. If you're just joining us on the Facebook Live here, I want to show you the winter weather advisory that is in effect. So, Cecile, looks like we do have a winter weather advisory in effect for Sanford right now, 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. for the potential for freezing drizzle. Any precipitation we get is going to be very light, but it might be just enough to slicken up the roads. What's the potential for tornado? Mavis says very low. I don't think we're going to get any tornadoes out of this one. There is a lot of tornado warnings right now down into Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, though. Will southern Maine have snow for Christmas? I say yes. I think we're going to have snow on the ground on Christmas. Things are going to turn around here 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now, we're going to get cold and snow. Charlie says, snow, question mark. No, not this time around. You're looking at probably a little bit of freezing drizzle overnight inland. And then we're talking about heavy rain and strong winds tomorrow night, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. This is that freezing drizzle situation. If you're just joining us again, it's over the interior. That's 1 o'clock in the morning. And notice this extends into the early morning hours, maybe 6, 7 o'clock or so. Any precipitation that falls late morning, midday tomorrow, we should be above freezing, and it falls in the form of drizzle. Not going to be a big deal by late morning and midday. The bigger deal is still that wind out of the south and southeast, probably around 6 o'clock in the evening. We're going to get some gusts probably around 40 to 50 miles per hour, with peak wind gusts over 50 miles per hour. Mid-coast Maine especially will probably get some gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour. I think we're going to get outages tomorrow. That's the way it looks. 6 p.m., right around there. We're going to highlight 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. for most of the action here. Seems like some freezing rain for my area, Ed says. Yeah, that's probably what it looks like here. If you live over inland towns, might get a little freezing drizzle. Precipitation will be very, very light overnight if we get any. We'll have to see how much of that materializes. It'd be more than anything just ocean effect, thanks to an onshore wind. Jan says, good evening. Hello, Jan. Are we going to get ice in Sanford? Oh, I'm back. Sorry, Cecile, I just answered your question. Let's see here. Jen says, can we just go back to the 70-degree weather? Oh, I think that's over. We'll get it again. We'll just have to wait until spring. That would be nice. Low 50s, though, tomorrow, Jen. That's pretty rare heading into early December. So we'll get that again on Saturday. It looks pretty warm. Let's see here. Pray for Caldwell Parish in Louisiana. Oh, yeah. That's where the tornadoes are happening tonight. I can show you where that is right now. Let's take a look at that. I think I just passed it. Let's see if we get my clicker that reaches to the weather office back there. There we go. Here's all the tornado warnings that you're talking about down here. Yeah, so there are the tornado warnings in Louisiana. Here are the tornado warnings heading to Mississippi and Alabama. So a big severe weather break is occurring off to the south tonight, well off to our south. Good news, we're not expecting anything like that in our area. All righty. Will my tarp blow off my wood pile? Thomas says. Thomas, I thought the same exact thing today. That's funny you say that, because I was out. I was cutting some kindling today for my wood stove, and I was securing the tarp with some pallets on top and everything. And I have a big tarp on the top. And I think if you do not have your tarp secured, I think it's going to blow away, or at least rip. That's a possibility as well. So I am with you on that one. I think my tarp, the tarp off my wood pile, that is definitely a real concern here. So we'll have to watch that. The old graphic with the trash can down the road, I didn't get a chance to get that on here, but it looks like we're probably talking about the potential for the trash can, an empty trash can in your neighbor's yard by tomorrow evening. So if it's an empty can, yeah, it's going to blow away. That's about lunchtime tomorrow. Just a little bit of drizzle here. Again, here's the main event, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. I hope I've drilled that home at this point. This is why I don't like knowing what the weather is. I like it. When does winter come? Kyle says mid-December, 2 weeks from now. Don't worry, it's going to snow. Hang in there. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to grab a quick bite to eat, and we'll get ready for Fox 23 at 10, CBS 13 at 11. And I plan on some outages late in the day tomorrow, more so tomorrow evening. Tomorrow, late morning, midday, we're in good shape. It's 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. That's our greatest chance for maybe a little bit of freezing drizzle. So icy roads inland. That's the way it looks early in the day. More updates later tonight. Take care.